everybody. It's 6:30, so I think we'll get started. If everybody can grab a seat. So welcome to the All Candidates Forum. My name is Sandy McKenzie, and it is my pleasure to be here tonight to be your MC. Along with Mr. Harry James, who will be our moderator tonight. Sorry, I'm not speaking into the mic. But we'll try to keep things moving and try to keep us on agenda as best we can. Some safety items. We have 4 exits, one over here, the main one back here, one here and one in the back. Each has an exit out. And remember, run as fast as you can. No, I'm kidding, of course. Leave in an orderly fashion and as fast as you can without moving. Let's just say that. Okay. Washrooms. Oh yeah, thank you. Washrooms are in the hall just out here. And I'd like to just open up with, we gratefully acknowledge that we live, work, and play on the lands of the Secwepemc First Nations. Thank you. So I'll just start introducing our candidates now. First, the TNRD, Carol Schaefer, who is right here. Yusuf Tasso cannot be here tonight because he's working. However, he has supplied a video that we'll be showing for his opening remarks. Mayoral candidates, Merlin Blackwell and Dean Clifford. And now our councillors, Barry Bamford, Teresa Bratton, Suzanne Emerson, Lynn Frizzle, Candace Graffender, Thomas Grimm, Bill Herring, Carly, I'm sorry if I pronounce your last name wrong. Thank you. That's how I was going to do it. Carly Starr-Lepoidvin, close. Lyle McKenzie, Ken Matheson, Harry Mincy, Laura Lee Rogers, Ron Rodsetter, Shelley Sim, and Jessica Toscano. Now I'll just turn the mic over to Harry, and we'll begin the proceedings.
Okay, we'll start with just kind of going over the meeting rules of conduct. And as it says there, all speakers, just like I gotta get my other glasses on. That's what happens when you have cataract operations. Like, unfortunately, I can put it over top of the other ones. All speakers, whether candidates or from the audience, are to be respectful, brief, and remain on topic. There will be no heckling, and heckling and our distractors will be asked to leave. So please, let's have good decorum at this meeting today. And the moderator, myself, we randomly chose the speaking orders, and that Sandy has, and we will be following that for the opening for the of the council candidates, and also for the mayor candidates. The first one, there will be. Now I gotta get my names correct here for the right order. That'll be Dean Clifford. You're going first, and then Merlin Blackwell will go second, and then we have a list here for the other candidates. Oh, on the TNRD, because Carol's the only one present, she will be going first, and then we will have the video second. And at least she gets to give a closing one. There is no closing one, I don't think, for the other one. So you'll get 2 talks to his one. And then the order for the candidates, whoops, There goes my name. Thomas Grimm will be number 1. Lila McKenzie, number 2. Ron Rotzetter, number 3. Suzanne Emerson, number 4. Lynn Frizzle, number 5. Barry Banford, number 6. Candace Graffunder, number 7. Bill Herring, number 8. Harry Mincy, number 9. Jessica Toscano, 10. Laura Lee Rogers, 11. Where's 12 now? Oh, Teresa Bratton, number 12. Shelley Sim, number 13. And Carly Starr, and I won't try to pronounce the last name, Carly, thank you, sorry. And Ken Matheson will be number 15. And at the end of each of their talks, when we finish the program, at the end when they give their closing arguments or closing discussions, it'll be in reverse order. So our first one will be for the TNRD. We would ask Carol Schaefer to come up.
There's a lot of seats up front, guys, if you want to come up and sit down.
Good evening. My name is Carol Schaefer, and I am the incumbent director for the TNRD Area A. I have served as a representative since 2014. I also served from 1993 to 1996. I have lived in the area since 1978 and have been involved with many committees and organizations throughout the years. I am known for working for the constituents. I am a strong advocate of what the residents identify as their needs and goals and value their voice. I am prepared to continue to give my full attention to all current and future issues brought forward. I believe my experience, character, and accomplishments are a strong combination that would blend well to bring successful continued results for Area A. I may not be seen in the social media all the time, but I am continuously working for the people. There have been many accomplishments for Area A. The following are a few. Upgrades to Birch Island, Ferry Road, and Waveney Parks, extension and upgrades to Waveney and Blackpool fire halls, donations of land and monies for water treatment plant, water meters, upgrades to pump house and reservoir, pavement for Birch Island and Dunn Lake Road, community hall upgrades. Clearwater Highway Rescue has been transferred to the TNRD, have assisted Upper Clearwater Fire Brigade with startup information and continue to do so. $25,000 of COVID funds was shared between sporting organizations, community halls, schools, and fire brigades, etc. Since 2015, $6,514,388 has been invested in Area A, which equates to $814,298 per year. Funding sources include federal gas tax funds, grants, taxes, and donations. Discretionary funds are in the amount of $10,000 per year are dispersed to organizations and nonprofit societies upon application. Future projects are installation of kiosk, irrigation system, and parking lots for parks, refurbishing Waveney Ice Rink, first responders implementation for fire departments, water treatment plant, and replace reservoir trunk main, fire department museum. In collaboration with Ministry of Transportation, an engineering study is underway for left-hand turning lanes at Jenkins Road. Annual ditching from Little Fort Ferry to Dunn Lake Road north, and annual roadside visibility improvements on Wellsbrae Road. The pedestrian crosswalk, controlled crosswalk at Wellsbrae Hotel is completed. That's the end of me?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Yusuf. I'm running for the TNRD Director for Area A in the upcoming October 15th election. My apologies, I cannot be here with you guys in person tonight. I had commitments to my work. Currently, I work on the pipeline, doing standby rescue and fire suppression for a company called First Response. So a bit more about myself. I moved to Clearwater with my family in the summer of 2019. Since then, I've worked with a few local companies, such as KDC Forestry. Did some wildland firefighting with them last year. I did some snow removal a winter ago for seniors with the Yellowhead Services. And I've baked for Tim Hortons for a few weeks. Part of my interest is meeting new people in the community and hearing their stories, and getting to know the rich background and history of the area that I moved my family to. Prior to Clearwater, I lived in Hong Kong for 15 years, where I still own and run a company manufacturing toys. My educational background, I got a bachelor's degree in psychology and a master's degree in managerial leadership. I've worked for various multinationals while I was working in Hong Kong before starting my own business. Why I'm running for TNRD director? A couple of friends in the community approached me at the beginning of the year and put forth the idea of a public office, in my mind, to do my part to improve the community and offer choices and directions for residents of the valley. My priorities. I've already had a sort of town hall meeting with residents in Vavenby yesterday, Friday, and I think part of our priorities should be, at the TNRD Board of Directors.
Okay, now, as he won't be able to answer the questions, but we do have still the one candidate that can answer questions. If you'd like to come up, and there are those who want to ask questions, the questions will be 1 minute maximum for the question from the audience and for the answers from the candidates. And for those who are asking the questions, the preamble is to be kept to less than 20 seconds. We don't want your opinion of things, we want a question. So keep the preamble to 20 seconds or less, or we'll cut it off. Thank you. Go ahead.
Hi, Carol. There was quite a bit of financial difficulties at TNRD with the previous administrator, and I wonder if you could explain what role you had in that.
I had the role of making the decision what we had to do and what we had to do to go forward. We've been changing policies ever since, and we've been changing before this came to light. But I think we've come far in what we've done, and we're on the right path, and I think we're doing a good job of what we do right now. You can't hear? Is there any more questions?
Carol, I have some that were emailed in, so this is similar to Keith's, but the lavish spending of the current TNRD Board of Directors is well documented and resulted in public outcry, a forensic audit, and an RCMP investigation. When a motion was put to the floor to apologize to taxpayers, 23 directors voted in favor and 3 opposed. Could you please tell us why you opposed the motion and why immediately afterwards you posted the apology on social media, giving the impression you voted in favor?
I voted against the motion because I felt that we had a lot of work to do before an apology came forward, and that's all there is to it. And I put the emotion, what I did, I just put on Facebook exactly what was put through when we did it through the board, that's all.
Yeah, I have one more. Thanks. If elected, what would you do to support the area fire departments for emergency preparedness and response to wildfires?
What I've been working on is, we did get Clearwater Highway Rescue over to the TNRD, and that is under 5 Bainmead and Blackpool Fire Department. I also, I'm working on first responders so that they can be both Blackpool and Fire Department can be first responders, which Blackpool is doing right now. And as far as wildfire, I think we have to expand what the fire department does to keep the fire department there and the volunteers.
Going once, for the last time, last question. Anybody wants to come up and ask Carol a question? Going twice? Okay, the session's ended. Thanks, Carol. We'll now move on to the mayoral candidates, and for the mayoral candidates, they will have 5 minutes for their opening discussion, and 1 minute and within each, and then we will have a 10-minute question and answer, and then they will close in the opposite order. Sorry, I forgot about the 2-minute closing. Carol.
I don't have a 2-minute speech for closing. I would just like to ask for your support on October 15th, and I will continue to work like I do. I work with the people, and I try to help the people as much as possible. I know I have to go to the board and I have to make hard decisions, but it's community, all 5 communities is where I like to work, and I work well with them, I'm sure. You know, at least I think I do. They seem to enjoy what I do. Thank you.
Now we can move on to the mayor one. My apologies for that. Okay. Again, glasses. Okay, Dean, you're up for 5 minutes.
Hi, I'm Dean Clifford. So, to get started, yes, I've heard all the rumors about myself. They're about as interesting as they are across the spectrum in their interesting qualities. So let me dispel the most important one that I hear frequently from people, is that I'm a very bad man who doesn't believe in law. I don't agree with laws, I refuse to obey laws. And I'm here to basically address that particular one because it's the only one that has any relevance here today. And I was a contractor in my 20s when I had my first run-in with Canada Revenue Agency. And I did everything exactly the way you're supposed to as what I thought to be a good law-abiding citizen back in that time. I just got out of university. I think I maybe grossed $5,000 that year in my first 2 months of business. And when I filed, I received a $26,000 tax bill from CRA. No amount of arguing with them or fighting with CRA would change the fact that I apparently owed $26,000 that I did not have. And so they proceeded to shut down my bank accounts, go after a property I'd purchased to fix up and sell, and made the next 5 years of my life living hell. That led me to start researching law. I wanted to know why this could happen in a country that I thought was supposed to have rights and you're supposed to be protected from government. So I started actually researching law, and the first thing that I discovered that I had never been taught about when I was a kid is that Canada actually has a Bill of Rights. That surprised me. Most people don't know that Canada has a Bill of Rights, so I started studying that early on. And I was shocked to find out that we did, in fact, actually have rights, and just most of them weren't really being followed, in my opinion. So I continued studying, and actually I'd just like to read the preamble of the Bill of Rights for Canada, because most people don't even know that we have one. So the preamble of the Canadian Bill of Rights from 1960 says, "The Parliament of Canada, affirming that the Canadian nation is founded upon principles that acknowledge the supremacy of God, the dignity and worth of the human person, and the position of the family in the society of free men and free institutions. Affirming also that men and institutions remain free only when freedom is founded upon respect for moral and spiritual values and the rule of law. And being desirous of enshrining these principles and the human rights and fundamental freedoms derived from them in a Bill of Rights which shall reflect the respect of Parliament for its constitutional authority and which shall ensure the protection of these rights and freedoms in Canada." Well, I thought that was pretty fantastic. So I get accused all the time of not believing in law and not wanting to obey law, when really I actually am so passionate about it. I'm one of the few people I know that have made a 20-year study of it. I've read the Bill of Rights, I've read the Constitution Act of 1982, I've read the Constitution Acts of 1867 to 1982, which is a 101-page document, which is the Consolidated Constitution Acts of Canada, which gives structure to Canada and tells the people what the laws of Canada are and are supposed to be. I know that one very well. I've read the International Covenants. I bring this one with me everywhere I go. The International Covenant on Civil Political Rights, which Canada is a signatory to going back to 1976, that says what our fundamental rights and freedoms should be, which were then enshrined in the Constitution Act of 1982, which is an amendment to the Constitution Act of 1867. So the rumor that I don't respect law and I don't think there are laws is false. It's because I happen to question laws and I want to find out what a law actually means and what I'm actually supposed to have for rights. So I never really considered that to be a very bad thing. Now, that's got me in an incredible amount of trouble. Apparently you're not supposed to question things. That's what my dad told me early on in life when I started questioning him. I found out real quick where the authority in his house came from. But then that didn't hold water later on in life. So one of my favorite quotes that I wrote on my little file folder I brought with me today, because I don't have a prepared speech, states, "It is the first responsibility of every citizen to question authority." Now that was Benjamin Franklin that said that. And so I took that to heart back in the day when I said, okay, I want to question things. I want to know why this is. I want to know what this means. I want to know what my rights are, what my duties are, what I'm actually supposed to do in this country. So when I discovered all these things, we had these rights, whenever I saw somebody's rights being violated in Canada, despite the fact that I had a business to run, I would run across Canada and actually go and start helping defend farmers and people that had, for instance, had children taken from Child Family Services. And all I would do is go into court and ask simple questions to ask where that law was in compliance with the Constitution Acts. And because those laws couldn't be, because that question couldn't be answered, and people ended up winning court cases, and people were getting their kids back, and people were getting their farms back, I became a target. Now the point of all this is that I'm dispelling the myth that I don't care about laws. I care very much about them. In fact, I think I care about them more than most people. And the reason I'm running is I think I'm uniquely qualified with what's been going on for the last 2 years in Canada to hold government accountable when I think they're overstepping their authority, which is clearly enshrined in all these laws I just read to you. So I hope I dispelled that myth. I have a copy of the Bill of Rights if anybody wants them.
Merlin?
Good evening. Thanks for coming out. I'm not seeing enough popcorn or tomatoes or anything out here in the audience. I usually just wing these things, but I did write it down a little bit this time, and I'd like to start by saying we live in a beautiful place. Clearwater is amazing. I absolutely love the people here. We have so many volunteers, community advocates, that I'm constantly told that Clearwater punches above its weight. We get more done for such a small town than towns much larger in size than us. We get noticed for the Wells Gray Community Forest. Talk to George, he goes out into the world, nothing but praise. Seniors Housing Society, minor hockey, soccer, skating, other sports that have shone against communities much larger than us. We have the Métis Society, the Aboriginal Cultural Society, Lively Arts, Clearwater Pride. There's so many groups in this town that interact and overlap that everybody here wears multiple hats. We are on the unceded territory of the Sim people, with whom the district has a solid relationship of friendship and respect with. The Sim are one of the most progressive and business-oriented First Nations in BC, and if not the largest employers in the North Thompson Valley, and having that relationship is critical. Our local government has been highly successful in its relationships with the province, the feds, with regional government and community organizations like Yellowhead Community Services, which we have housing from, the Senior Society, which we also have housing from, Trails Task Force, SILGA, other organizations as well. The number of successful grants that Clearwater has obtained or has been part of obtaining is exceptional for a new community, especially one that's this year only 15 years old. Our team is known for delivering on what we promise. We make anyone who partners with us look good, and that shines through. We have established a level of trust with our partners that leads them to want to work with us again and again with projects, grants, and other things that benefit our community. We have an open yet firm relationship with business developers and investors, the people that will bring housing, new businesses, and new jobs to town. We do our best to assist them with good information, good staff to work through issues with, all within an envelope of trust, respect, and confidentiality. Everything I've mentioned up to this point relies deeply on maintaining a positive relationship, on being part of solutions, and absolutely essentially on a high level of trust. Without trust, we have nothing. It is essential for the future of Clearwater that we maintain this. So what is that future of Clearwater? One thing is definitely growth. We will see a shift back to international tourism in the next couple of years as Trans Mountain moves out of town and Europe opens back up to us. That's $35 million a year worth of revenue at the last time we really counted, and heading up by $5 million a year. There's so much more potential in this. AJ would not have invested in one hotel and renovated another one if he didn't see the future in that. Sam wouldn't have invested in his rafting company if he didn't see the high potential of white water. Lauren and Jennifer would not have expanded what they do if they didn't see growth in construction here. Pattison Group would not have put money into that mall. They do their numbers without seeing what it could come to. SIMP, SRG, industrial resource developers, housing developers, all count on us to be trustworthy, to be business forward, to be a progressive partner. If we maintain this trust, these relationships, the possibilities for Clearwater are endless. Forestry is a hard one. Forestry has struggled for the last few years. But we have a community forest, which is an example for the rest of the province of BC. We have a solid relationship with forestry companies. I convinced Interfor to fix all the potholes on the Hall Bridge and on the connecting road there a couple days ago. The Canfor lands have been freed up by Brian Fair for future development. There's so much potential for small business in a place where we didn't have much industrial land available till quite recently. Businesses create jobs, but the District of Clearwater is here to make it smooth, to take the speed bumps out of things, and to do that. I expect to see the official community plan open up again, so you'll have an opportunity to have your say on the future of what Clearwater looks like for every neighborhood, for every regional district. And because I'm running out of time, I'll leave my closing remarks to the next segment. Thank you.
Okay, there will now be a 10-minute question and answer, and we have one question that was mailed in.
Here's a question I would like to be asked obviously, sorry. It would be directed firstly to the mayoralty candidate, Dean Clifford, but I would also like to hear Merlin Blackwell's comments about this answer. The question is, You told the newspaper that you and your wife own Clearwater Valley Resort. However, you did not state that you own the resort on the financial disclosure forms you were required to fill out to run for office. In fact, the relevant sections of the document are blank. Could you please explain what you see as the purpose of the financial disclosure forms and why candidates for public office are required to fill them out?
Again, simple answer, because I'm a stickler for things, I made sure I dove straight into the Financial Disclosure Act, pulled the entire thing apart, and then answered entirely in complete accordance with the Financial Disclosure Act, which anybody's welcome to challenge me on. And I made it very clear in the Disclosure Act that you are not required to disclose anything that you own by way of security interest. My wife and I bought the resort, and we also have other property that we own by way of security interest only. And the Financial Disclosure Act states very clearly, do not list anything you own by way of security interest. I don't write the laws, I just obey them.
Okay, now we'll have an open questions and answers from the audience. State your name, please, and who you're addressing it to.
Hello, my name is Sandra Holmes. I have a question I'd like both candidates to answer, please. Mr. Clifford, do you believe in evidence-based health care?
Evidence-based healthcare compared to fact-based healthcare. Now, which doctors do we want to believe? And by believing certain doctors over other doctors, are we depriving people of their specific beliefs as well too, as guaranteed by the Constitution? Because to do so would deny people their freedom of choice as well too. And unfortunately, your freedom of belief and your freedom of choice are more fundamentally important than whether or not you believe something about what the healthcare industry is doing. So I could go on and on about what I believe when a doctor says it, what I believe when a pharmaceutical company says it, my own personal beliefs on my own health, which I hold in the highest regard over above all of those things. When it comes to my health and my family's health, I don't care about other people's beliefs. My belief is the most important thing, and that's a constitutionally protected right. When it comes to other constituents, I believe in freedom of choice. So people are free to do whatever they want for their own health, and I don't believe that government should be mandating what people should be doing for their own health.
Yeah, thanks for that. You all know I'm a 4-time cancer survivor. It's probably more than that, but I only count the ones where John has had to cut something off my body and send me off to surgery. Yes, no system is without fault, but I have absolute trust in our health system as it is. It needs repair constantly, it needs evolution constantly, but I tell you, being in the trench with radiation or surgery, with nurses, doctors, x-ray techs, radiation techs, I trust what they did. I've been inspected pretty much anywhere anybody can be inspected and live through that, and the nicest people of every age, race, gender, and sexual orientation was more than happy to treat me, and it was a fabulous thing. Thank you.
Next question.
Hi, Laura Souls, and this is directed to Merlin. I'm curious to know whether the pipeline workers are eligible to vote in this election.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting question. I mean, you can declare yourself a local. There are a couple hitches to that. One is that if you do declare yourself a local, your LOA is at risk, and you're declaring it on a document. That was asked so many times that I actually asked somebody for an opinion on that, and yeah, CRA would probably be interested in that if you did declare yourself local.
Any other questions?
Hi there, my name is Cindy Bogosh, and I've got a question especially for Mr. Clifford. I already know what Merlin's platform is. Can you explain to me, if you do get in as the new mayor, how do you see your constituents following you with the same ideas that you have. What about all the other ones that do not agree with your beliefs? Like, is it all inclusive?
Oh, stay there? Okay. This is an even easier answer. So, my own beliefs are irrelevant when I hold a public office. When I hold a public office, it means that I represent the persons within that jurisdiction in accordance with the law, regardless of my own personal opinions. And that's why it's very clear when it comes to any question about how to govern a certain area, all the answers are in the Constitution Act. And it really doesn't matter what my personal beliefs are, because in any one of these situations, I would simply refer to either the Bill of Rights or I'd refer to the Constitution Act, and I'll read Section 15 out loud. And this is why the law is important. It doesn't matter what my belief is. What matters is, when it comes to equality rights, every individual is equal before the law and under the law and has the right to the equal protection and equal benefit of the law without discrimination, and in particular without discrimination based on race, national or ethnic origin, color, religion, sex, age, or mental or physical disability. So the Constitution of Canada creates a nation that has laws that govern how it's supposed to be administrated. So that's regardless of somebody's personal opinion. So it really doesn't matter to anybody what my personal opinion, what my personal beliefs are. I'm free to have them. But I have to respect the Constitution Act and the guidance it gives and how to deal with every situation. The framework is there. And that means that anybody's rights that are being violated have to be protected. And that's actually one of the reasons I'm running, is because it's going to be in my closing arguments, but I basically, when I first came to visit this place, loved it. Loved it so much, my wife and I picked up the resort. Loved it so much, we convinced the rest of my family to move down here. Now, I have a daughter, I'm a new father, and I find it incumbent upon myself to make sure that this country is being administrated the way it's supposed to in accordance with the Constitution for the protection of all of our rights and freedoms. Everybody, across the board, no matter who you are. So that'd be my answer to that is, how do I expect people to follow me? Well, I'm not expecting anybody to follow me. My job is not to have people follow me. My job is to let people live their lives and then to protect them and make sure that their rights are being represented, they're being enforced, and they're being protected from government overreach, and to keep everybody within their respective jurisdictions and authorities. And that's why I kind of had my spiel at the start there to say, I'm uniquely qualified in that area. My mic's gone, I don't know why.
Because we're out of time, it's only supposed to be 1 minute.
Oh, sorry, it's water.
My question is for Mr. Blackwell.
Yep.
You were at the UBCM at Whistler.
Yep.
You are quoted, what we're starting to see across BC is a bunch of groups that really just want to join hate and want to disrupt the system, said Clearwater Mayor Merlin Blackwell. Can you elaborate?
Yeah, no, talking to a lot of other organizations well covered in newspapers like the Georgia Straight, we're seeing groups that are very anti-LGBTQ2+ running on school board councils, seeing a lot of groups that have had association with what happened in Ottawa showing up there as well. It's more of an awareness thing. I don't have to, you can do your own research. You can find it out there. It's not hard. People started sending me things within hours.
Okay.
Hey, I'm Ben Mincy. I'm a local business owner. Questions for candidate Clifford. You talked a lot about yourself and that kind of thing, but I was wondering if you have any actual plans for the town itself. Infrastructure upgrades, business incentives, anything that might help the town grow itself rather than, I appreciate you fighting for freedoms, it's definitely important, but there's room for growth in the town, so I'm just wondering if you got something like that. Yep.
Well, that's the first legitimate question I've actually been asked so far in the last several weeks. I've been waiting for somebody to actually ask that. Where do I see the potential for this place? Well, as Merlin said, it's unlimited. I saw the potential for this place enough that I moved here. I uprooted my family, I brought them all here. And we're investing in this area. This area is, I find it to be very unique. I've already coordinated with some of the other business owners, got to know some of the other business owners almost immediately. We've all seemed to get along very well, and we've talked about ways to actually, how could Clearwater become a more year-round, tourist-oriented place? Not just tourism, some different industries to the place. Do I want to see Clearwater become another Calgary? No, that's not why I moved here. but this place has the potential for a lot of year-round employment and year-round things that aren't dependent upon just forestry and the mine and the pipeline. And I think that needs to be utilized. I have a particular interest in ecotourism, and that's something I wish to talk about with people moving forward as well too. Thank you.
We've still got 2 or 3 minutes. If there's any other questions, please come up and.
Hi, I'm Michelle Webster, and I have a question for both candidates. I want to know what your priorities are going forward if elected.
Oh, there's an incredibly long list on that one. Roads are obviously a huge one. You've read some of that stuff online that I put out there. I'm going to continue putting that stuff out there today. Fire Smart is a huge thing. I learned a lot more about Fire Smart and protecting our houses and how that can work in our town. I kind of want to get some educational crews out there and do that neighborhood to neighborhood. Economic development, we've got tons of active files on housing right now. We could be in for the biggest housing boom that we have going forward, but we need the infrastructure, we need the grants in order to pay for that, so we don't have to put that burden on taxpayers. We also need the partnership of those developers to do that as well. But Clearwater is in for a fairly big growth spurt. I think probably the biggest growth spurt in its long history, and I kind of look forward to digging into that and getting to work.
First thing, real quick as well too, a lot of people have brought up roads with me. That's one of the things I don't know a lot about yet, but I'm sure the information is readily available. If I was to start tackling that problem, and among other things, one of the first things I would do is, Canada is a country of apportioned taxes, which means that all taxes collected are apportioned for certain things. Gasoline taxes are collected and apportioned towards road maintenance and construction, and that's an accounting that the province keeps. One of the first things I plan on doing is demanding a full accounting of making sure that this area has been getting its full allotment of taxes collected for road maintenance and road construction. And if it hasn't, demanding that money either be returned to this community so it can do its own road repairs, or demanding the province actually live up to its obligations and use that money as it's supposed to for the representative population in accordance with the apportioned taxation scheme to put the value into the roads that this area pays in taxes.
I wonder what you do for this town to contribute to this town. Are you a member of any club or organization? Fire department, search and rescue? Do you volunteer? When I hear Merlin Blackwell, he's just full of love for this town, and I miss this when you talk, because it seems you're just full of love because of your business. So where's the love for our town here?
Well, aside from being here for 18 months now, one of the first things I did was when I got involved with some of the other business leaders and there was no community events going on because of the shutdowns that were happening, I got together with some of the other business leaders and we put on our own family day in the fall, where we financed the entire things ourselves out of pocket. I donated and cooked all the food from my own facility and made sure that families could come out and have a good time in the community. It's one of the few opportunities I've had so far to actually get out to do that. I've had a little bit of a busy summer. I got winter coming again. I'm sure we can do lots. As for my family, now that my family's in the area, my own brother-in-law is one of the volunteer firefighters for up towards the Wellsbury Park area. So he now works as a volunteer firefighter up in that area. And the family is certainly looking forward to getting involved in a lot more things around here, other than my just getting involved with other business leaders to make sure that we're providing where the government has failed in certain areas for the last couple of years.
Yeah, hey there, Aaron Murray here. This question's for Dean. Yeah, so in 2018, you had a tweet that said you were banned from Twitter for pointing out that Islam is an invasive cultural disease not fit for any civilization. So I'm just wondering if you could speak to that in regards to if you were to become mayor and people from that culture were to want to work in Clearwater, would you be willing to work with them? Those are some pretty harsh words.
Yeah, and that's why it's called Twitter. And you get into arguments with people on Twitter, and for lack of a better word, that's where you shit talk. And you have discussions with people, and I'm sure if you were to look into that thread, you'd probably find out that one of the conversations I was in with a person at that time was also demanding whether or not I support Islam or homosexuality in North America? I said, well, you gotta pick one. I said, from the standpoint of homosexuality, Islam is an invasive disease that's throwing people off rooftops in their home country. And we're not expecting any problems when Canada has a whole massive influx of these people. There's no laws. So what you're saying can be taken out of context. It wasn't. I actually said that. And as a Christian, to be honest with you, I respect Islam more than I do communism. And that's one of the reasons I'm running as well too, is because I see a bad communism problem in Canada. Do I like a lot of the attributes of Islam in their home countries? No. I consider it to be very invasive, absolutely. Sharia law is absolutely antithetical to every single right and fundamental freedom that I read out in this document. I do not like that culture very much. If they come here and they want to abide by these laws, I got no problem with it. But the ones that don't and they want to bring Sharia law to Canada, I have a very big problem with that, absolutely.
Mr. Merlin, question for you.
Doug, buddy, how's it going?
I would like to know where that $800,000 and some went. It was a COVID startup money.
Yeah, I know.
Now, where did it go?
I know you really like to talk about anything with the word COVID on it, so just give me 2 seconds and I'll pull it up for you. So, revenue shortfalls. This is where it's been spent so far. Revenue shortfalls on programs where we need to keep things operating for years and years included Sportsplex Transit, Healthy Living, and ballparks to the tune of $172,643. That saved you 5% tax increase this year. Safety supplies roughly $15,000. It's ongoing, so installation of IT equipment so we could work remotely, 14,626. Additional public work vehicles so that everybody could out work, $100,000. Additional staff time for janitorial public works, $105,000. Additional time to refund the programs. We paid for programs, additional time ICBC, additional time to schedule appointments, managing the grant, and we still have $486,573 left.
Only one question per thing, unless there's nobody else asking
You're
questions.
perfectly fine to catch me outside, Tim Hortons, online. I will answer your questions anywhere.
Saying you don't go back.
Do you have one more person? Another person wants a question?
Nice to see you, Doug.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's another person for a question, and Doug, you can ask it if nobody else has time.
Hi there. Small business owner in Clearwater. I've started a number of businesses in this town. And one of the biggest hurdles for myself trying to grow and expand in a small community with a short window of opportunity in the summer has been dealing with the development permits and permitting going through the TNRD. Has Clearwater considered, or will they consider perhaps looking to a different source of planning department like Barrier and Sun Peaks have that's a little bit more progressive, looking for solutions rather than just pointing out problems? Certainly, yeah. Let's go with Merlin first, because you've been in office now for a term and we're still struggling with some of the same issues.
Yeah, short answer is yes, absolutely. With what's coming down the pipeline here, I think that in-house planning and building inspection is pretty much a done deal. I was really kind of skeptical if it's something that could possibly be done here, but talking to Mayor Spencer Coyne and also the Mayor of Merritt on this in the past. Spencer, they have their own planning department. They have 2 building inspectors. They have plan checkers. I think they're to staff of 5, but they're facing a push of 350 houses that they need right now because of the disaster. Improvements to water systems, dikes, sewage lagoons, and that sort of thing. So there's a lot of heavy lifting there. I can absolutely see that being the direction that we head in.
Well, with no first-hand experience how the town operates yet, the only thing I can answer is with 28 years of contracting experience, I know permit applications, I know inspectors, and I know planning, and very, 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 very well. And I can tell you that there's no greater way to shut down an economy and delay things than to add red tape to absolutely everything that people do, and there's no greater way to kill small businesses. So whatever there is that can be done on a local level to facilitate a decrease in red tape with an increase in planning to help, and I don't like the word central planning whatsoever, that's basically just communism in disguise. There's ways that you can actually promote people and to find out what they want this town to become, and then help them with that, as opposed to telling people what this town should become. And there's ways to do that while not, putting everybody to death with red tape.
We have time for just one more question. We have 2 more questions.
Yeah, question for Dean. You're bringing up a lot of the Bill of Rights, Charter of Rights. Seems like you have a real problem with the federal government, is what I'm hearing. Do you have any substance to your claims? Like you're gonna look into the, if the gas taxes have been paid, if the road allowances have been, have you looked into anything? Or are you just going to look into it? Are you saying it from structure that you know that we've been shorted somewhere? Or are you just saying that you're gonna blitz the government and try to get whatever you can? Because I know the last council, this whole town is run on donation basically. Everything comes from grants, the infrastructure, everything. They've worked hard. I've been in their office many times and they're just going for money. You know, we need money in this town. People want to live here, but we need infrastructure. You need infrastructure before you get to people. So we're caught in a real bind here. And you're saying that you're gonna look into that and Charter of Rights and some.
Ask a question, please.
Do you have any solid evidence that we have been shorted anywhere?
Actually, I believe I was pretty specific when I said the first thing I would do is actually look for a full accounting to find out what we're supposed to have apportioned to this area in relation to the population and the taxation collected, and see if we were. And if we are not, then there's other avenues available to us. I didn't say we haven't shorted at all, right? So that's not entirely accurate, or actually not even completely accurate. And there is mechanisms in place that are actually lawful. This place shouldn't not have to rely on donations. Nobody's gonna tell me the taxation collected by our representatives and the Canada federal government and the provincial government are come back to us by way of donations. That is our money. Government doesn't build anything, people build everything. That is our money. It's not the government's money, it's our money, okay? They don't give us donations, they give us our money back to do with it what we should have done in the first place. I don't have a problem with the federal government. I love them, I just wish they'd do their job. And that's why my experience with the knowledge of this stuff is gonna help to keep them within the confines of what they're supposed to be doing. I don't wanna have to wine and dine the province to do us favors. I want the province to do what they're mandated by law to do. And that doesn't require a dinner and a date and wine and begging and pleading for donations. That requires them to live up to the mechanisms that are in place right now to make sure that this area is getting the financing it should be for the taxes collection for the area.
We're actually running into overtime right now, but if anybody else have any questions?
Let it out, Doug. Let it out.
Mr. Mayor, could you clarify that?
Mr. Richardson, what would you like to know?
Could you clarify that this money that we got didn't go to TNRD, or any of it went to TNRD? I just heard rumors about this.
No, it did. TNRD got their own money.
Oh, so it didn't go to Canada? No. Okay, thank you.
Okay, now we will have the closing, no, we had to close after those two. We'll have the closing remarks by each of them, go in the reverse order.
Thanks. To finish what I started at the beginning, Clearwater will continue to see continued expansion, improvement in things like that make our town more livable: trails, sports facilities, healthy living, seniors programs, improvements to the Dutch Lake parking and beach area. All these things are part of council vision, have been for years. They're in the plans, they're in the OCP. Most of these are grant funded. We can make them happen if we keep good relationships, partnerships, and trust with our partners. And this one comes up a lot. I don't take credit for any of this stuff. Everything we do is a team. It's a trusted council team that does this work together. It is a staff team that does the heavy lifting, does the research. Everybody down to the bottom, the newest public works guy, is part of that team. They have stepped up through everything that we've gone through in the last couple of years to fix problems. When we had that power outage and we lost, power for an entire day, our public works team were marvelous. They solved so many problems with their intimate knowledge of the system and kept us in fire flow and drinking water for that day. We have the most amazing team of human beings that work for us, both on council, our current incumbent council. I'd love to see Teresa and Ken there as well. And we make it happen together. It's a team future. This is what we do. But I need a team that I can trust and that can move forward. So that's what you need to vote for. You have the next 4 years of Clearwater. We can go forward, we can continue the momentum, or we can go backwards. That's completely up to you. Thank you.
Well, I could spend days answering questions from people that have found something online that I've said in the past when I get into strongly worded arguments with people. That's a pretty irrelevant thing. But the big thing is you know what? I'm not afraid to say publicly what everybody else also says, but only behind closed doors. So I'll let everybody else throw the stones around here in a glass house. So that being said, I have a strong personality. Yup. I consider that to be an attribute because I don't let things go and I push and I make sure that things happen. I'm a doer. I don't sit around waiting for the province to decide, oh, okay, I guess, in 6 months we'll look to see if we have a budget to get something open. I don't think the people that are having heart attacks that retired to this town because it had an emergency center care to hear more excuses about why we had to wait for the province to get their act together when we could be pushing things and doing things ourselves. And we do have the authority to do that. There are the laws in place to make sure that we can actually do things on our own without waiting around for everybody. So if you're looking for somebody to push things and get things moving and get things happening, I'm the guy for that. And to be honest with you, I'm not really terribly concerned what you think about me personally. I'm not terribly concerned about what I say sometimes when I'm arguing with people online. What I care about is the law. And a lot of people have, tried to poo-poo on that recently. And again, even tonight, I hear a lot of things about the law. Well, the law is very important. That's what gives our civilization structure, okay? So that's a very important thing to me. And the laws are very clear again. Okay, so I've said that I don't like Islam. That's true. From a Sharia standpoint, I don't like his treatment of women, and I don't like his treatment of homosexuals. Then people ask me the same question. They say, well, Dean, what do you think about... Anyways, without getting into rhetoric, I'm not here to give you platitudes and say, well, I think things are okay and they can always get better. We have to make things better. Okay, the world is not going to do things for us. We have to do things for ourselves. And that's really, I guess, the only message I have for everybody today. If you wanted to get things done, I'm the guy for it.
Yeah, I think we got another big hand for both of the mayoral candidates. For we'll be moving on to I'll use this one here, moving on to the councillors. And we drew names or drew numbers for the order in which they will go, and we gave you that. And they will each have 2 minutes for their opening remarks. Then we will have 30 minutes for questions and answers. And then we will go back to their closing remarks, and it'll be done in the reverse order. So our first candidate is Thomas Grimm.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tom Grimm, not Thomas. Okay, so I'll just tell you a little about myself. Born and raised in the Valley, started out in Avola, 1964 to 75. So when Avola was a thriving community and lots of stuff going on there, that's where I was. 75, moved to Clearwater, went to school, Dutch Lakes Elementary School, Clearwater Secondary School, graduated from this high school. After that, I left because there was no industry. All the industries in this town were closing down. So I took off. I ended up in Alberta. Nothing wrong with Alberta. Drayton Valley, worked on oil rigs. Came back, raised a family, ended up in Vernon with my wife. She's around here somewhere. And from there on, came back to Clearwater, worked in the forest industry. That didn't work out for, after 15 years. Ended up in Alberta again, in the oil sands. So, been through the forest fires of Fort McMurray, the interface fires, downtown, working when the whole town is on fire. So I do know a little bit about, I've worked in a lot of different places, did a lot of different jobs, and here I am, back in Clearwater again. So my vision for Clearwater is your vision. So if you want to tell me what you want, sorry, I'm just nervous. But I will tell you, I will help you get together with everybody else and portray what you want to, what you guys want, let me know, and I'll try and get it across. Okay.
Next candidate is Lyle McKenzie.
Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd first like to start off by acknowledging we are fortunate to be gathered this evening on the ancestral, traditional, and unceded territory of the Secwepemc people. Secondly, I'd personally like to commend all candidates who put their names forward for this year's election. It's an easy task to sit in the comfort of your own home and speak your mind in regards to everything you would or would not do to keep this municipality running like a finely tuned machine. Take it from me, as I've now been on both sides of the fence, but it takes a special breed of person to make the commitment, take the plunge to make those changes become a reality. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Lyle McKenzie. And for the many of you that do, seeking re-election for another 4-year term just reiterates the fact just how committed I am to this community. I spent my entire life living in the North Thompson Valley, with the last 34 years being dedicated to Clearwater, a place I've always considered my forever home. As it was the perfect place to be raised, I too decided I would raise my own children here. I care deeply about what the future of this community holds for them and the many generations to come. For the past 11 and a half years, I've worked locally for CN Rail. 11 of those years have been spent as a foreman. For those 11 years, I've also been the occupational health and safety rep. This past spring, I was named co-chair for our region. Being with this in all aspects has taught me leadership, teamwork, commitment, even quicker thinking, and crucial decision-making skills, all of which are attributes I will continue to distribute through this next term if re-elected.
30 seconds.
Through work and dedication, collaboration, I will continue to remind current and future citizens of why we love where we live. Among many things, I will continue to focus on housing, healthcare, including the recruitment and retention file, all available programs for seniors, veterans alike, also that never-ending economic development file, which would include future growth and promotion of already established businesses. Moving forward, I will also continue to build on our already rock-solid relationship with some First Nations. Remember, Rome was built in a day.
The next candidate is Ron Rotsetter.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank the members that are
in the positions that are up for election right now. Thank you for your time and for everything that you guys have been doing. I really appreciate it, and I thank everyone for the turnout that we have here today. It speaks volumes. I don't think we've seen a turnout like this for something as important as it is right now. This is great. Thanks for coming out. I'd like to start by introducing myself as a father, business owner, and a member of this community. I've been here since 1983. I've raised 6 children. They've all spent time here playing hockey, playing ball, raised in this beautiful community. I think it's time for us to get rid of the keyboard and start dealing with situations face to face, with hands-on and with accountability. We sit at the table and have discussions so that things can be actually put to the people and not to individuals. Just sitting there as a member of the community doesn't mean that you're not here to represent everybody. We all have values, we all have ideas. I think we need to be able to have those values and those ideas, and I don't think anyone should be discriminated against those ideas. They're your ideas. And I think we should be able to work together to make a healthy community. And you know, the division in our community is very obvious, and we need to fix that. I'm looking for transparency, accountability, and unity for this election. Thank you.
Suzanne?
It's nice to see everybody here this evening. I was expecting like 3 people. Anyway, I lived in the North Thompson Valley for 61 years, my entire life, and I've been self-employed as a farmer for all of those years. And I've had off-the-farm jobs in forestry firefighting, horse logging, highway hospitality, and an ambulance driver on a job site. So I've been involved in and have first-hand knowledge of some of the businesses that are relevant to this area. And during those jobs, I acquired a lot more skills: self-motivation, independence, forward-thinking, open-mindedness, and teamwork. And being a farmer has really helped me in many ways, because you're not just planning for 1 month, 1 day, you have to plan years in advance. And that's what this community needs to, is not just, we're gonna build one little house. We're not, we're gonna build there, 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 and there, and eventually it all comes together. But we have to look far in the future for everything we do, not just housing. I'm talking about self-sustainability in this area, and I think I can do that for you. Very open-minded and willing to work darn hard for you.
Lynn Frizzle?
Hi everyone, my name is Lynn Frizzle. I have lived in Clearwater for most of my life and raised 2 kids here. I am the seniors coordinator for the area, offering many programs and activities for our very active and dynamic seniors, and I was the driving force between the newly established man sheds. I also volunteer with the food security and literacy events and activities, and I'm a supporter of our Indigenous and LGBTQ communities. I also have had the honor to serve for 1 term as councillor. When I decided to run in 2018 and again now in 2022, it's because I thought I could make a difference. Running for council isn't a political decision for me, it's a decision based on wanting to work towards bettering my community. The ultimate responsibility of council is water, sewer, roads, and parks. We have also identified 5 strategic priorities, including economic development, infrastructure, asset management, financial stability, healthy community, and housing. There are lots of plans, studies, and reports to read, study, and understand. We listen to experts such as engineers, town planners, and we ask lots of questions, have discussions with each other where we listen to our different points of view and perspectives, and then make decisions based on the strategic 5 strategic priorities, and what we think is best for the community. We each get a vote, and the decision is made with the majority vote. Through all of this, we have public consultation, public hearings, and put out surveys to ascertain the pulse of the residents. We meet twice a month, and all regular meetings are open to the public. All this to say, we listen, we hear you. We like it when you show up and give your input. It helps us to know how to make the best decisions for all of us. I'm running for council for a second term to continue to work towards making Clearwater the place you love to live, work, and play in. It's your decision how that happens. As I said, you've had the opportunity to give your input in a variety of ways, and now there's one more. Get out and vote on Wednesday, October 5th, or Saturday, October 16th for the community you want to live in. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Barry Bamford, and now you get to hear from one of the seniors, or, as I was called at the last public forum 4 years ago, one of the old gray hair guys on council. But along with that distinction comes experience and knowledge. My last 11 years being able to serve you on council and my 32 years working for the Ministry of Forests have given me a strong understanding how both municipal and provincial governments work, and that's beneficial at the council table. On the council table, I'm known as a reader and a risk analyzer, which means I read everything that comes before council. In doing so, I often find a unique grant opportunity that's available or an area that needs further investigation with regards to a risk to the community or liability that we may have. One thing that I'd like to see happen in the future, in the next couple of years, our community is going to get considerable revenue from the Trans Mountain Pipeline. I'd like to see 80 to 90% of that revenue go directly into reserve funds. We need to build up our reserve fund for roads, sewer, water, infrastructure, and our fire department. By doing this, it allows us to have leveraging dollars available for grant opportunities. It also allows us to not have to borrow money or raise taxes. This next council is going to have some really tough decisions to make with regards to the things I just mentioned. I'd like to continue to bring my experience and knowledge to those decisions. It's important for us to work together, and I want to continue to do that, and I want to continue to serve you on council for the next 4 years. I really hope and appreciate your support, and I look forward to serving you for the next 4 years. As Mayor Blackwell mentioned, over the last years at the federal and provincial government level, Clearwater is thought extremely highly. We say what we're going to do, and we do it, and we follow through. And that's really important. And the strong relationships we have with some First Nations have helped make us successful. And I want to continue to support those two aspects. Thank you for coming out tonight. It's really good to see you. Bye.
Candace Graffunder.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen and fellow candidates. My name is Candace Graffunder, and I'm excited to hopefully earn a seat at council once again to represent the people of the Valley. I was born and raised in Clearwater, leaving only to pursue post-secondary studies. I have raised 2 children here, with only one left at home in grade 11. My daughter is completing her 2nd year of university at the University of Alberta. I live on a farm where we raise our own meat and grow our own vegetables, and I'm proud of my homestead and our way of life here in Clearwater, and picture myself being here until the end of days. I believe that my 5 years on the Wells Grey Country Services Committee and 2 terms on council for the District of Clearwater upon incorporation in 2007 proved that I'm dependable, grounded, determined, trustworthy, that I'm willing to hear everyone's side, and that I'm proud to be part of and from this wonderful community. I'm not going to make big promises to try to win votes, because I believe in assessing things thoroughly from the inside to understand where we are at, and then, with the public's guidance, I will strive to address these potential issues. What I will promise is that I have no hidden agenda, that I am not a bully. I am passionate, I'm not a follower, and I do not know everything. What is important to me is to have a healthy, well-functioning, sustainable, and united community. I am hardworking, always willing to put ideas on the table. Thank you for coming tonight and showing your commitment to the community. Love where you live. I do.
Bill Herring.
Hi everyone, my name is Bill Herring. I've lived in Clearwater for the last 7 years and I've been on council for the last 4. My background, I came into this with a degree in political sciences from the University of Alberta. I worked as an emergency manager for the Canadian Red Cross and for Alberta Health. I was working as a paramedic here locally, and most recently I've been working as a carpenter. I'll just dive right into my platform instead of talking about lofty documents and national law. I think maybe one thing we could focus on is improving the housing situation in Clearwater. Particularly, I'd like to see us move towards reducing our development cost charges, which hold up development. It's essentially a disincentive for people to build homes in Clearwater. It is a cost that we can reduce. We are allowed to reduce that number by up to 95%. And in a time of housing crisis, it's a good way to stimulate development and growth. One of my major priorities in office has been emergency preparedness and community health. A big part of that is supporting our fire department, but we also need to be working on our advocacy over to the BC Wildfire Service to make sure that we have people stationed here every summer, all the time, to make sure we have fast response to put out a potential fire which could escalate. We also need to be flood prepared for Strawberry Flats. There is a dike there that is in need of repair, and we need to get on that and make sure that we protect the flats as best we can. Another thing I'd really like to advance is the organizational health of our district. We've got a start on it in the last 4 years, but the world is changing. Our grant landscape is changing. We fund the majority of our projects through grants, and right now, grants are starting to change in what they look for. They're starting to focus on urban issues rather than rural issues. And so we need to really go after that and find a way to avoid increasing taxes. And I think that's all I got for now.
Harry Mincy.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, citizens of the neighborhood. Thank you very much for coming in. My name is Harry Minci. I'm your local jeweler with a hat. I'm of ethnic Armenian Lebanese. I grew up kind of back east in Ottawa, moved to Vancouver, and I've been involved in the jewelry business, which is my family business. And we've been doing a lot of operations for wholesale and retail, designing, award-winning. I've been involved with various organizations, such as the Chamber of Commerce, from where we've been inducted into Hall of Fame. I'm involved with the Rotary Club. I'm involved with the Elks organization, several other charitable organizations, and I like to put my time into my community, into you. Thank you.
Jessica Toscano.
Good evening, my name is Jessica Toscano. I've been a member of this community since 2004, February. I moved to this town, I now call home, with my 3 small children at the time. I now have raised an additional 6, so altogether I have 6 children, 9 children, Lord have mercy, I can't even do math. That's what happens when you have so many. Anyways, what motivated me in the very beginning of this journey to hopefully take a seat here with the other candidates is recent crises this community faced. I'm not going to even try to deny that. I didn't have no script made up for today, so this is all coming from the heart. This is my home, your home, our home. We're all family here. This is somewhere where I'd like to remain to the end of my time as well. And I would just like to devote some community time to the people that have devoted their time to me and my family, my children. I want to see the best for the community, and many people that are in council and mayor today have done a wonderful job. I just feel that with diversities in the community, there should be diversities at the table. And I live in Vavenby, but rely on resources from Clearwater. The hospitals, schools, grocery stores, every amenity, the roads. I travel every day with my children. I just feel like I'd like to be able to be a part of bettering those facilities and just pretty much devote some of my time to the community that's devoted to me. Thank you.
Coralie Rogers.
Thank you. Can you all hear me? Yeah, we're good? I'm going to do it a little bit differently, and I'm going to need your help. This is an audience participation thing. Of three things, housing, hospital, and infrastructure, I'm going to ask you to show, by a round of applause, which one is your priority going into this election. So is it housing? Dead silence. Is it hospital? Is it infrastructure? Can we have infrastructure without a hospital? No, we can't. Can we have housing without a hospital? No, we can't. So I am running for council because, oh, thank you, I have 60 seconds. We did it on time. I'm running for council because I am a nurse, and I have worked in hospitals and healthcare systems in BC and the United States for a very long time. And I know how the systems work. And I've been told, no, there's nothing the municipality can do about healthcare here in Clearwater. And I'm just the voice that says, yes, there is. And I know how to do it. And I would like the opportunity to try. I'm seeking 3 terms, not just 1, but 3, because I think that that's how long it will take to do it. Thank you for coming out.
Teresa Bratton.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you to the Clearwater Chambers and all involved to have this forum happen. Sorry, I forgot my glasses. Shoot. This is a new thing. Okay, much better. My name is Teresa Bratton. In case you haven't had a chance to read about me already, here is a quick run-through. I am a longtime Clearwater resident and really enjoy my life here with my husband of 32 years. We love where we live and are fortunate to have raised our 3 children here and been blessed with 6 grandchildren. We both come from large local families with many members still residing here. Clearwater is extremely important to us. Our family's deep community connections leave me in an excellent position to hear what you are concerned about and what you want represented on your council if I'm elected. Over the years, I've been very involved in the community, and a seat on council would be a great way to take this a step further. Although I have never run for council position, I have volunteered for school parent advisory groups, been on the executive committees for minor hockey and minor ball, and the Clearwater Ski Hill. I understand how governing boards work. If elected to council, I have a few avenues I'd like to focus on. Our hospital and paramedic situation, as many of you are, I am genuinely concerned about what's happening in this area of local health care, keeping up with and continuing what has already been established between current council, health ministers, and MLAs is imperative. Those collaborative relationships must grow and expand for continued positive action and results to take place. These changes are starting to happen, and I would love to be part of the solution making. I would like to be an advocate for the young families who have voiced their challenges in creating a sustainable lifestyle in our growing communities. I would also like to keep creating and growing connections for our marginalized groups to continue their inclusion within our community. And of course, I will always be an advocate for our seniors to help making, and I'm gonna be dead.
Shelley Sim.
Good evening to you all. My thanks to the Chamber of Commerce for arranging this forum and for everybody coming out tonight. My name is Shelley Sim, and I'm seeking re-election for council. I've had the pleasure and honor of serving the community for the past 3 terms, that's 12 years, and believe that we have laid the groundwork for our next stages of growth. I'm seeking re-election to continue this good work. My husband and I, we've lived in Clearwater for 28 years. We've raised 3 kids. Our youngest here is grade 11 at CSS. I'm also serving as a 3rd-term school board trustee for the North Thompson. I'd like to think of myself as an active volunteer within the community, and one of my favorite events is putting on the Clearwater Community Christmas Eve dinner. In short, I'm committed to the community. My vision is to work collaboratively to build a strong and sustainable community that fosters social and economic vitality, that ensures people have place and space to thrive, flourish, prosper, and feel that they belong. In running for council, I have the following goals: to ensure that we address the social and business needs of our community, address the housing pressures by way of updating the official community plan and looking at policies that would support and address the full spectrum of housing. Our infrastructure is critical to our growth. We need to establish a budget and a timeline. And as for taxes, I want to identify opportunities that would generate district revenue that would help offset the reliance on property taxes. I also want to see the implementation of the Community Economic Development Plan with a focus on arts, culture, and music, as well as reinvigorate some anchor community spirit events. Lastly, to continue to support the professional recruitment and retention efforts, especially as it relates to our healthcare. We are a community made up of many different voices, but what binds us together is our faith in one another and our ability to determine and shape our community for tomorrow and the years to follow. Council is the table where we put the plans into action and support the vision of our community. My name is Shelley Sim. I'm running for re-election. Thank you.
Carly Starr LaPointman.
I was worried I would have to follow that. Okay, 2 minutes to speak to an audience of friends, family, neighbors, acquaintances, and a few strangers. That's a little pressure, but I will get to it. I'm Carly LaPointman. I'm 41 years old. I'm a woman, daughter, girlfriend, mother of our animals and plants, aunt, and friend. Sheldon and I moved to Clearwater 5 and 6 years ago. It was divided. Back to his hometown and away from the only hometown I ever knew, Grand Prairie, Alberta. Clearwater was welcoming, friendly, and there was always seemed to be an invite for a cooking class or a trail ride or a hike that I hadn't been on yet. It was an exciting and an easy transition for me. I hope it still is for newcomers. Fast forward 5 years and here I am. In your good company, running for a seat on town council, something I did not see coming, ever. Politics wasn't exactly in my wheelhouse. I'm still watching, learning, forming opinions, and stumbling on certain topics at times. I have a lot to learn, and simply put, I just don't know what I don't know. As the principles of democracy evolve and change over time, with social media, diversity of culture, mainstream media, and wokeism, we need to be a collective voice as councillors for the new understandings, realities, and challenges within our community.
30 seconds.
In recent conversations, I believe our beautiful hospital seems to be the hot topic of concern, the number one. The number of diversions and or closures are rapidly accumulating. I think there are many, many factors contributing to this problem, some of which are at a union and provincial level, but that shouldn't mean that we can't start at the bottom and work our way up. Our existing municipal government has been doing a really great job, and I'm ready to rally and support. I absolutely cannot claim to know just how to
Ken Matheson.
Good evening. My name is Ken Matheson. My entire life has been one of public service, beginning with my service in the Canadian Army, during which I served overseas during the Cold War. Later, I had the honor of serving the citizens of Canada for over 20 years with the RCMP. I worked, lived, played, and raised my family in many communities across this beautiful province, from small First Nations communities to mid-sized towns and later larger cities. I enjoyed every community I lived in. I have been heavily involved as a volunteer in all these communities in which I lived and continue to be involved to this day. This experience has given me invaluable insight into the challenges faced by many rural areas. To me, community service is a privilege. It's not about politics or furthering personal agendas. It is simply to provide a public service within our community, a valuable service. It's a chance to use my skills and abilities as a leader to give back to my community. It's a chance to help foster and nurture good working relationships within the community and with all stakeholders that have been built over many years by previous administrations. Thanks to them, you only have to look around the town to see the positive things that have happened as a result of their leadership. If elected, I will use my skills as a leader, as a can-do leader, to keep the community moving in a successful and positive direction. I will always put the health, prosperity, safety, and welfare of our community first. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. Some great choices to make there. We now will be opening it for 30 minutes of questions and answers. And again, keep your questions to 1 minute with less than 20 seconds of preamble so that we can get a question and get an answer. And at the end of the 30 minutes, we will shut it down and we will have a closing remarks by each of them in the reverse order. So questions are open for those who want to come up and have their voice heard. And if you're addressing, you can address to all or one of the candidates.
Okay, this question is for all the new candidates that are coming up. It's a two-thing question. So the first one is, how many of the new ones that are running for council has been to the council meetings in the last 4 years? Just a show of hands. On a regular basis? Okay, and the second one that I wanted to know is how many, even the new and the old ones, how many of you have supported the community events, and of course I'm speaking Indigenous, of Clearwater in the last 15 years? Look at that. Thanks guys, that's all I need.
If I may tell you something about your first question that you have. The council meets at 2 o'clock. Everybody is working. It's very difficult for us or for anybody to attend the meeting.
Thank you, Harry. I'll just say one more time. I don't don't go to all of the meetings. I do go if there's something on the agenda that I want to hear about. And that 2 o'clock in the afternoon, yeah, sometimes it can be a pain, but guess what? They had them and they tried them at nighttime. And I don't think anybody else showed up either. So there you go. You can't please everybody every time. You either do it or you don't.
Okay, there's no, one of the rules is there's no back and forth debate. I know. But just for the future, there's no debate and no bantering back and forth. Anybody else want to come up and ask a question? Oh, we got somebody coming.
Hi there. My name is Kyla Ives. I had a question for Laura Lee Rogers. You stated that you were a nurse. How have you helped during the pandemic in the last few years in healthcare?
Kyla and I used to work together, so I'm not sure what her motivation is for putting me on the spot. No, thank you. I was injured at work in 2013. In 2014, I was placed on long-term disability. And for the last 9 years, I've been fighting my way back to health. And that's why I'm running for council, because there's so much vested in the hospital that we have to keep it going.
Thank you.
Sorry. This is Senator Holmes again. This is a question for Mr. Rodsetter. I really appreciate the business interests you have in this community and the work that you do here. But my question is, council deals with a lot of development issues. And most of those issues you will have to excuse yourself from for, what I want to know is, what are your other talents that you'll be able to support the council with?
Well, as procedures are, if you have a conflict of interest, you remove yourself from that meeting or from the bidding process, whatever the case may be. And I am looking forward to retiring soon. Thank you.
But what are your other talents?
Sorry, two-part question, right. So I think running a business of 56 employees and being diversified in that business, we don't just look after one thing in our business, we do an awful lot of different things in our company. And so I think being diversified is going to be an asset.
Any more questions?
Sorry if the camera's a bit wonky. My question's for Carly, and I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your last name. Lepoitman, thank you. You said something about woke or wokeism, and I'd just like to know what your definition of that is and what your concern is.
I don't know that I have a specific definition for it, but there seems to be, over the last 10 to 15 years, tons of new ideas for everything. If sexual preferences, pronouns, wherever we might go with it. Kitty litter boxes in the classrooms. I don't know particularly what they all are, but everything is evolving and everything is becoming super sensitive. So, I forget what the question was. My definition of wokeism?
That, yes, and what your concern is with it.
I think I'm concerned with the entirety of it, honestly. Lots of us have been raised old school. Lots of this new stuff is coming in and we don't know how to deal with it and we need help. And we have to include everybody. Like, we have to have everybody's voice unified.
And how would, being on the council, how would you see the council interacting with that?
questions? Keep it clean, Doug.
I'm getting paid. This one's for Shelley Sims. Shelley, can you truly tell me, holding 2 portfolios on School District 72 and the district, you can fully put yourself 100%?
We can't hear you. So the question was, can I adequately serve the community both as a council member and school board representative?
Yes.
Right? I think I do, and I think I will, and I think that it's a really important, I think for a small community, we're very lucky to have someone like me who can do both, because our community is based on our youth. There's a lot of intersectionality, there's a lot of crossover, and because I'm able to sit at both of those tables, what I bring to this community is really, really valuable. I am proud to be able to serve, and I also feel very fortunate that I have the time. I think that that gives me just that long spread. So yes, in answer to your question, I think I do, I think I will, and I know I can. Thank you.
More questions?
Yeah, give me a microphone. Sorry. I would like everyone on that's running to answer this question, please, if you would. We have a very vibrant seniors community in Clearwater. There's a lot of very healthy, fit, wonderful seniors out there. There are a lot of people that are very old, a lot older. There are people who are infirm. We have a huge area of seniors. I would like everyone here to tell me one way that they would promote seniors and seniors' issues in the community, please.
Okay, seeing as how she's asked for everybody, we'll start down at this end, and we'll ask you to keep your responses to the one thing.
So what we've done in the last few years in our company is we do a Pro D Day, it's called. And the Pro D Day entails the crew to get together and we go to a senior's home and we do stuff for them. We sweep their chimney, we pump their tanks, we fix their fence, we do what we can to assist. And I think we can do that as a community as well, because there is people here that could use that. And I think it's a really good way to promote unity.
I think that the council for the past couple of terms has done a really great job. We fund the seniors coordinator position. I think active transportation is another really key part. And I think finding new ways to continue to support the luncheons is a great way to bring seniors together. One thing that I've heard from the seniors is that by coming together, there's eyes on people to make sure that people are doing okay or to check in for what they need. And that all comes out of the council budget, and I'm proud to spend that money.
I think those are really great attributes. I'm really, really new to this. I'm sorry for my inability to answer questions and give you straight up answers at the moment of a heartbeat like this. I'm very sorry for my inadequacy. I'm very fresh to this, but I feel like there's lots we can do for this community, for the seniors. I've been a part of different gatherings, I would call it. I used to work for Drake, and we did things like, funeral services, doing gatherings for people, and getting people together would be my, seeing faces and doing games nights, and just doing things together is what it really comes down to, you know. I don't know. Just like this.
I think we can enhance our services that are currently available enhance our services that are currently available, because during COVID, I was at home isolated for months on end, and I had no contact. I had no one checking in on me. I had no resources that I could figure out on my own. And I'd like to see that done better here.
That's called pass the buck.
Okay, well, I think we're in about the 60% club, 55 plus here. And we have a very robust seniors coordinator that has been top shelf right through for the last three terms, as far as I know. I think she's done a great job, and feedback from the public has been pretty much on key with that. So I think we can keep just pushing the way we are. Don't forget about them. If it wasn't for the seniors, we wouldn't be where we are today, so just don't forget about us. Huge.
Hell, I'm one of them. Yeah, bring on the money. Help me out. I'm a member of the Senior Society in Clearwater here, and I'm also a board member on the Senior Society. I support the seniors in multiple ways. I'm currently working on an oral history project. So the seniors have a voice in our community and their ability to pass on their knowledge and their life experience for others to learn from. And I think that's really important. Ageism is alive and well. And as you get older, you feel like you become irrelevant. And I think by giving voice to those seniors and allowing them to tell their stories, it'll allow them to become part of the community again. Thank you.
I think I would pitch a buddy system and maybe get kindergartens or grade 1s, 2s, those that are just learning to read, together with a senior that is wanting to have that interaction with children. May or may not have grandkids, may be missing out on that. We could possibly get their parents involved as well, so there would be that generational gap that would be closed.
Well, I think Shelley took all the good answers, so I'm just going to say ditto to that. And I guess to add, I think a really key thing is going to be supporting the ambulance service to make sure that seniors in this community can maintain a safe way to get to Kamloops if needed, and also a safe way to get to the hospital if needed in this community. So it's going to take some advocacy with the province on that.
Boy, they picked all the good answers. I agree with everyone that was speaking, and I don't have anything else to add to it right now. I'm just new to this too myself, so. Gonna pass the buck.
I have a history with the youth in the community, but I also have a pretty big history with the seniors of the community. Everything from driving seniors to games days and participating and winning a lot. I was active in the vet recruitment, and believe it or not, there's a lot of seniors with animals that cannot get out of the community to take their animals, simple things like that. I've put on a lot of community events and had it so that we cater to all ages. And 30 seconds, I keep going. I'm going to be a senior here one day, so I'm making sure I'm making a home that's suitable for me too. I also worked with developers like Gary Arsenal, who was looking at putting in a 55-plus community here close to the hospital, and I'd like to continue doing that as well.
I'm a seniors coordinator, so this is a really easy answer for me. It's community connections. We have to keep our seniors out there active. I have a seniors luncheon every month. I always have someone come. It's a learning lunch. We have seniors, people come to talk to seniors about what relates to them, about their safety, et cetera, et cetera. We are also now have the adult day services come, so we're bringing more and more people in. We're making sure that there's phone friends. We'll have to talk, you and I. Connecting with, just checking in and making sure that everybody's okay, and just saying, hi, are you okay, and how's your day going? We have resources, we use them all the time. We've got people taking our seniors everywhere. We've had lunch drive-throughs. Well, through COVID and stuff, we've kept our seniors really well fed. So we've been doing lots of things, and we're going to continue to do that. Thanks.
This is a topic that's very personal to me. I kept my mom on my property for as long as I could. She was a farmer, and I grew up in a very small community where all the elders of our village were able to stay in their homes due to family. And I think it's very, very important that we don't just go, okay, you're going into a home and we'll see you, 3 days a week. We need to really try and keep them in their home. I know I want to be in my home as long as I'm physically and mentally able, and to have someone come and check on me, and on a consistent basis. And whether we have to set up a committee, we have to fund somebody to do that, to enable these people to stay in their home where they're safe, secure, and they know what's going to happen day in and day out with just being another statistic in an old age home.
Well, I do currently work with Forest View. I'm a photographer by trade right now. So I like to go in and make sure their families have memories of them. I also attended my first seniors luncheon. I'm old enough. That freaked me out. Anyways, so cool and so fun, and it's amazing what Lynn provides, and the district itself. They make sure the seniors are heavily looked after. So I would like to continue that. And growing up, I had 6 sets of grandparents, and my kids have 6 sets of grandparents. So it's kind of near and dear to my heart to work with everybody that we need and all our elders. Thank you.
Being last out of 15, this could be a challenge. I think what I've seen in the 24 years I've lived here, people in this community care about each other. They care what happens to their neighbor. They care about the people that live in the subdivision that they live in. I live on a small cul-de-sac. 6 of us are seniors on that cul-de-sac. You see us going out and help each other with snow. You see us giving each other a ride to the hospital if they need to get there. You see us supporting each other. That neighborhood support is what Clearwater is all about. But that's what Clearwater is all about for the people who live here. They're a caring community. When the district office got rebuilt, there was a seniors room that was created, specifically for seniors. And that was very important and a smart decision to do. We've also paired very capable high school students with seniors to help them with their computer needs. Because it's challenging when you get older, when you start to look at a computer and you never get to find it. You go through 14 different levels. So I think at every council meeting seniors are talked about, we need to keep them up front and in our decisions that we make all the time.
Hooray for seniors. Any more questions? Okay, come up to the front, please.
Mine is more of a challenge than a question because it's kind of wrapped into what Sandra did. But I'm not going to ask you all to do it. But I'd like you to keep in mind for your closing arguments, and I'm sorry I didn't ask our mayoral candidates this earlier. The ones who have mentioned the hospital, I'd like you to tell us in at least just one idea of what you think you are going to do to help our hospital crisis with staffing or our ER closures. Just one. If you have the knowledge, and if you put that in your platform, I would just like you to include that in your closing argument of your one thing that you would do to help our hospital.
Go the other way.
You don't have to go all the way. I'm saying if you want to do it in your closing argument, because we don't have to spend another 20 minutes for everybody.
I actually didn't include the hospital in my speech because I'm actually quite nervous and don't do well in front of crowds like this. Like, I'm good one-on-one and I'm good over the couple.
No, I was just saying for the people who put that on their platform.
But I'd like to actually put some. Can I do it now? No?
Any other questions?
Hi, because we're talking about seniors and disabled, and of course, every once in a while I do go over to the info board and see some of the stuff. I'm wondering about the taxi. I just really think that's very important in town, and I would like to know how we can support people getting around in the taxi. Anybody can answer.
Boss.
I've never known councillors to be shy.
I don't have great ideas, but I do know that I have been asked about the taxi, and my family has had a personal experience with the current owner, so it is important to me. And because I let it known that it was important, I've actually been approached by a gentleman who would like to open a business here doing taxi service in Clearwater, but there are some avenues they need to go through, so I would definitely support looking at a new operation in the community.
It's something I hadn't thought about, but I'm not somebody who says it can't be done or no, so let's give it a shot. There has to be something out there, funding privately, whichever, that we can set it up for, let's say, a senior. You have one token a week to not use the bus on certain routes, maybe you have a doctor's appointment, or you just have to go to the store for something. Something like that perhaps would help give our seniors a little bit more independence.
So I'm wondering if the taxi permit or the licensing is a Ministry of Transportation issue. And I'm not really sure how Uber works, but is that not an option in Clearwater? Like, I'm not sure, but I mean, they seem to be using it everywhere, so why would we use that here in Clearwater? First little town with Uber.
Any others want to respond? Okay, next question.
As a youth here in this town, I've noticed that we are lacking any clubs or support groups for teens. There's one support group that I know of, and then all the rest are just sports. Moving here from a bigger town, I've noticed that I've had a harder time finding my place. And so I was just wondering if anybody had any ideas about youth groups or anything.
That's such a great question. If we're going to address the seniors, then we have to address the whole broad spectrum. I think it was actually Candace who had originally started the junior council. Through the past couple of years that has faltered, one of the things that's been very successful at the school district is having student voice. And I think if something like that were to become activated, I know I would feel quite passionate about it. I think it's amazing what our youth can show us and teach us and demonstrate. And if we include that into that budget process and kind of, give some wings to your dreams so you can find your place in space. But hearing the voice of the youth is an imperative.
And just to add to that, you're not alone in moving to Clearwater and having a little bit of a tough start getting into the community. We can struggle with that a lot as a community, and I think that's one of the reasons why social infrastructure needs to be a priority for council. It's events, it's having different groups and activities, but also just having public spaces where the community can bump into each other. The beach is a great example of that. It's a place where you go and you can't get away from there without 20 conversations. And so it's definitely, we need to build more social infrastructure where people can come together and do that kind of stuff.
Yes, it is true. Back in 2007, I was approached by the youth group, actually the student council here at CSS, and they wanted to know how their voice can be heard. So we did develop the junior council, which adopted CSS's student council, and then they had a voice at our council meetings. So I would love to see that back in operation. It is now recognized at a municipal level around the province, actually provinces. But I've also done a lot of community events. So my background is horseback riding. In 2011, I founded the Wellsbury Riders Association. It's still in operation, and there's been a lot of youth events such as Man Tracker, the Invitational, and so forth, as well as many other events throughout the community. Sure, blank.
Also, there's lots of volunteering that can be done. As I mentioned before, the seniors have a Cyber Seniors Week that students would come to the seniors and teach them different activities, how to get around on Facebook or email or how to turn their phone on. So there's lots of volunteer things that are happening too that you can dip your foot into, so that's something that could be considered.
I went back to university at 60, and I was surrounded by youth. And what impressed me with the youth was their ability to formulate ideas and move forward with them. They have a powerful voice. And I think having the youth driving that initiative is what's key. And us being open to listening to them and supporting them in any way that we can. But it has to be driven by the youth themselves in their direction. And I support anything they want to do. Thank you.
You know, in years past, we used to hold a council meeting in this same building that you're sitting in right now. And the school arranged for the students to be able to attend that council meeting. I think we need to get back to that. We need to bring municipal government into the schools so they can see what it is. The other thing council has done is that they have supported students every year going to Victoria for a parliament. And we pay for the cost of them to do that. And it's important for them to do that. They come back and they share that inside the school. They share those experiences. I think the most important thing is council needs to continue to look for opportunities. Work closely with the schools, work closely with other organizations that involve youth, continue to support them in ways that we can.
So the social programs are fantastic. I think the council's worked really hard over the years developing that. What I'm interested in is what form of economic development are we looking to go as a community that you want to push forward to help support these programs? Because there is lots of grants and stuff out there, but ultimately as a small business owner, how are we going to pay for these? So where do you guys see your efforts putting forth in economic development in Clearwater to support these programs we want to have?
That's one of my platforms I'm very passionate about. Being self-employed my entire life is you have to create independence for yourself. So I know in the past there's been many ideas brought forward, and some of them were kibosh because of red tape or whichever, wasn't quite the right time. And now there's so many different opportunities where grants are funding those new ideas, and I would really like us to take a page out of our partners, the Simp Nation, who are become very, very independent and self-sufficient, and help our community pay for our own taxes. We can quit being taxed, and instead of relying on grants where it's like, oh, well, now we can't do that this year because we're not getting the money, but you know what? We've made that money, and we can look after ourselves and create jobs and keep people in our community.
I've worked a number of years and got a good, healthy relationship with BC Parks. And one thing I know about our community over the years is it's quite seasonal. And I personally would love to see our park open for the winter. I want to stop seeing the onus put on businesses to have to clear trails to make cross-country skiing trails and stuff like that. I think the parks can support us a little bit better like they did 20 years ago when I was guiding in the Wellsbury Park. That's just one idea that I have. I have several more.
For myself, I think that's kind of the motivation behind my housing point in my speech, and the main reason is that I think a lot of businesses in Clearwater are suffering from lack of staff in particular right now. So even when a venture starts out, people are having difficulty staffing it up because there's nowhere for those staff to live. It's become extremely expensive to rent in Clearwater. So I think by addressing the housing pricing crisis and then stimulating some of that construction development, we can bring in some more money. And then also, I think the tourism industry needs continued support. Tourism Wells Create has been working very hard at that for the last 4 years, and they'll continue to do so past this. From council, I think they need the occasional support. They come to us for letters, they come to us for all that, but we've kind of put our economic development positions in place with the district. We have staff for that, and so we're working hard on it right now.
We were just talking this weekend actually about toll booths, and the Wells Gray sees a lot of traffic, and it wouldn't have to be a substantial amount of money, but it could possibly bring in a pretty huge revenue for all of our visitors and everything, just going up to see the waterfalls for the day, or to go up and camp, or to go up to Clearwater Lake and camp for the weekend. I'm unsure exactly how that all would work, but we literally just talked about it the other day. Also, where the Trans Mountain Camp is, that could be so, it could be used so well. If we could have a stage or an indoor arena where we could host shows for boat shows, I don't even know. But if we could utilize that area and we could use that and make it or bring in revenue for us, I think that would be something.
In order to address social issues and fund them, we need to get Clearwater moving out of the boom bust cycle. I mean, how many times has Valley been up and then down and up and down? And it creates this sense of insecurity in this valley. Things like infrastructure, you know, you mentioned housing, high-speed internet, more power to the valley, better access on our highways. These things will make the area more attractive for industry to come into the community, to give us that base, that constant stability, and with that will come economic benefits and our ability to support these programs, and hopefully attract more workers. Thank you.
So I'm part of the Economic Development Committee, and I put forth an idea that I think would be really benefit to our community, that self-titled. I mean, we live in Clearwater. There's a camp that's going to be empty here soon from the pipeline. I've suggested that we get the TNRD to hand that baby back, because the TNRD owns that property. And it becomes part of our community, and we put in a water bottling plant that not a big corporation owns. Us as a Clearwater citizen own it as a co-op. We own it, we run it, we sell water. And we talked to Simp about this idea. They like the idea. We haven't gone any further. We need everyone on board. I think it's a great idea. We don't let Nestle's of the world own it. The citizens of Clearwater own it. The revenues from that comes to our community for infrastructure. Because you're right, you cannot keep going to grants, running for grants. You have to have something here so that we can sustain ourselves. I was in Princeton recently. That community owns property that leases industrial land. That's it.
Okay, I think our time is pretty much up for questions and answers. We're going to get back into the closing argument. I'd just like to maybe break with a little bit of protocol on this. And I just, when I heard all the things that were going on here, it made me think of, trying to think that it was a columnist in the Vancouver province. And he had this little saying, and I think everybody here should, that's on the council here, or will be on the council, should think about it, about what the definition of a committee is. A committee is a group of people gathered together to collectively delay a decision. And that's the attitude that we have to get out of. And his second, the very next day, he put in another one. He said, the ability of a committee to reach a decision decreases exponentially with the number of people present. And he's very accurate in both of those, and I'd just like to give that bit of advice to the council here too. Don't get caught up in committees, because unless they're doing something, a committee doesn't do any good. By the way, it was Art Wasserman. Okay, now our closing arguments will go in the reverse order. So, Ken Matheson. No, not argument, closing remarks. No arguments.
I don't have a lot to add. I think we've all heard a lot of interesting comments and ways of moving forward with the community. I do know that I want to be part of a team that moves this company or this district forward. To me, community involvement is all about selfless service. It's putting the welfare of others before your own. And just remember, your vote will affect the community that we live in for many years to come, either negatively or positively. The choice is yours. Choose wisely, and make sure when you come out to vote, you vote for your favorite candidate. Thank you.
Carly?
So I was a little long-winded the first time, so I'm just gonna quickly finish. I ended with the hospital. I absolutely cannot claim to know just how to fix the situation we are in, or even tell you exactly how we got here. I am, however, willing to do the research and the groundwork and contribute all that I can to figure this out. We cannot be complacent. There is always room for improvement. To the lady's question about the hospital, what I would personally do, I don't know. We need to start hiring. We need to get more people into the school. We're still capped at 20 per semester to start. Most of you that know me, or know that I don't often take no as an acceptable answer. I will find a way to compromise or to move forward and eventually settle in some form of success. I am committed to do that with the fellow councilors and the mayor, and to keep Clearwater on the map as a destination. What I may lack in experience, I make up for in determination and dedication. I am dedicated to speak power to truth. I am determined to maintain and encourage unity, regardless of sexual preference, vaccination status, religion, age, or social class. In closing, I'm nervous as hell to embark on this journey. Opinions and views are incredibly tough to juggle these days, and I'm sure there will be countless hurdles. But out of our comfort zones is where we thrive, and I'll trust my moral compass to guide me. A journey begins with a single step. My mother had that saying in our kitchen for as long as I can remember. Thank you for coming tonight. I look forward to meeting all of you that I don't know and building relationships with those that I do.
Community is much more than belonging to something. It's about doing something together that makes belonging matter. Brian Solis. And I think that that's the role of council. It's about setting the groundwork so that this is a place where people want to be, they want to live, they want to raise their kids here, they want to work, and they want to attract, and they want to grow. I think we can do that. I think we also do it because we're incredibly fortunate to have such a wide range of volunteer organizations One of the people that first influenced me, her name is Pauline Gregory. If you've heard this story before, sorry, but it's a good one. Because what it meant was, as Pauline Gregory, she lived out in Birch Island, and she gave tirelessly to every single community organization you could imagine. You couldn't meet Pauline without buying a raffle ticket. What she taught me is that in this valley, you are not judged by how much you earn or anything like that. You are valued and appreciated by what you choose to give back to your community. I really pride myself on being a good volunteer. This community means a lot to me. It's meant a lot to my family, and I think we've all grown because we grow together. We grow forward because what we share is our love of one another and who we can be. The hospital. I've been really proud about the fact that councils have $15,000 that we've committed towards recruitment. The video that came up on the district website was really important. I like the fact that as a small community, we're one of these small communities that when people come in to interview, we have a budget that can take them out for dinner, we can pay for their accommodation, and that puts us above what a lot of other small communities can do. It's a big advantage, and I'd like to continue to support that. I also work as the chapter coordinator for the divisions of rural and remote family practice. That gives a really important insight into how we can grow that healthcare relationship. So there's lots of work to be done, and I hope that you will choose to accept me. ShellySim.com if you don't know me.
Teresa?
Well, I'd just like to say thank you very much for providing this forum for everybody to say what they need to get forth. I would be honored if elected to hear more of the concerns and challenges locals are dealing with, to come up with fantastic solutions that better our whole community. Also, I have to commend our current council and mayor with the last 4 years, as they have had the hardest term ever, with the exception possibly of the first term. I would love to see a like-minded, cohesive group focused on relationships and connections as we grow and prosper to keep this town the place we continue to love where we live. And on the question about healthcare, I would just like to continue those collaborative associations and connections, and with our MLAs and our healthcare providers, and we can grow and get it better that way. We have to keep working together in order for things to grow. Thank you.
Of course, you know, I'm loving this question, because the first thing that I'm going to do if I'm elected is to create the welcome wagon. I don't know if any of you follow the Facebook page for rent in Clearwater. There are 5 nurses that I've followed in the last 3 months who are looking for accommodation here in Clearwater. And they should not have to be petitioning for their own accommodation to come and work here. I would make sure that we have a welcome wagon, because I know how it feels to be welcomed into a community as a travel nurse. I was a travel nurse here in Clearwater in 1999. So thank you for considering me.
Jessica?
So clearly I fumbled with my introduction. I'll try better for my closing. I've spent many years with working in the funeral industry here in Clearwater, so I've made many connections within this community. I've also spent time working under Barry and Ron. I've enjoyed all the years I've spent working for these people and for my community. And I just wanted to say that regarding the hospital situation, there's really no answer, or, you know, there's really no answer to the problem that we're having that I have at hand. But I do have ideas that might be able to help with ensuring that we at least have medical services full-time rather than part-time. My idea is to have the hospital open if we have to choose a time where it has to be closed, to have it closed during the day so that we have hospital facilities open in the evening and medical centers at least during the day. So we have 24-hour care until we can find people to fill the spots to keep our hospitals open full time. That's, you know, part of a solution I've had in mind. Other than that, you know, everybody's welcome to put their input in these types of situations, and it's helpful that we have community putting that input in so we can make decisions and help put ideas together what's going to better our hospital situation and our housing situation, our housing crisis actually. There's people that have lived in Clearwater all their life that have had to leave because there is just no housing available. So those are things that I would be looking at touching base on if I was to be part of the council. And yeah, I just want to say thank you for your time. There's so much I wanted to. For anybody in this community, I would give my shirt for as long as I had undergarments.
Harry Mincy.
Well, nobody has brought up any kind of information about daycare. Nobody brought up any point about the daycare system that we have. We do have plenty of young ladies, mothers with children who intend to work. So the economy of the neighborhood and the staffing needed could be improved. And shops can stay open later, open up new ventures, extend their location, but we don't have daycare to stay any longer than 4 o'clock. At 4 o'clock, she has to leave because she has to pick up her kid. So if I'm elected, I will try to find ways to increase the hours and to increase attendance of the children at daycare. This would support us economically, and it would give better relationship between the workers and the shopkeepers. Secondly, I think we have to bring up, I'm not gonna look at that. Last time I looked, I got 0. So I cut my hair short, I'm not looking at it. Secondly, I'd like to bring up the point about the permits. The permit department has done a great job. However, the permit department has been a bit of slower on its approvals. I'd like to help them in getting their permit approvals accelerated. That would be my second point. And I think the developers will be pleased to know that. And once the developers start building up with their permit, nobody will leave town to go to Kamloops to work somewhere else because they got no job. We will have our electricians and plumbers available at any time. So the permit department will help us.
Bill?
So I'll start with the hospital question. I won't talk about housing again because I think I've plugged that one home a few times. But for me, I plan to continue doing what I've done so far in office, and that's to speak directly with healthcare professionals, listen to them, and act on their suggestions, bring them forward to the provincial government and to Interior Health however we can, and advocate at UBCM along with all the other municipalities like Berlin did such a good job of last 2 weeks ago? A couple weeks. I'd be remiss, my campaign manager over there sat through this whole thing, and he wanted to make sure that I mentioned the bike trails. That has to come up. So I did like that because this is an outdoor paradise, and that's why a lot of us are here, and supporting our community organizations like the Wells Grade Community Forest and the trails, the ski club, all of those things is critical to our community. So it's going to be 4 more years of signing letters of support, helping them access grants however we can, and talking to them to get their advice as well. Anyone who's been to a council meeting in the last 4 years and watched the council meeting, had questions, talked, will have seen that I'm a person who makes sure we have a robust discussion. I will bring up every aspect of an issue, even if it's not what I feel about it. It's more important that we have the discussion so that we know we considered every option. And I'll continue to do that as we go forward. And I think that's all I got for now. So have a good night, everyone.
Candace?
Years ago, I stood right here and asked the community if we were prepared to address some of the pressing issues of the time, such as sewage treatment, check, water treatment, trail systems, the revitalization of Dutch Lake. I asked, are we ready to promote orderly growth for existing and future land use in a financially responsible manner? Well, not only was I part of making that all happen, I also followed my passion for youth involvement by creating the Junior Council. I have countless volunteer hours within the community over the years, and most recently became certified GSAR with the Wells Grade Search and Rescue. I will always be actively involved in the community, no matter how the election goes. That I promise. So vote for me, Candace Graffender, and I look forward to seeing you, having discussions on the street, and just representing you and your voice of all ages. Thank you again.
Barry?
You know, 11 years ago, when I first ran for council, I entered that election thing with no agenda. I wasn't part of any particular group in Clearwater. I just got laid off from the Forest Service. The only thing I wanted was to make Clearwater a great place to live, work, and play. To make decisions that would benefit the citizens of this community, and make those decisions based on sound discussions, thoughtful discussions, and financial restraint and consistency. So that hasn't really changed. I'm standing in front of you with the same agenda to make Clearwater the best place that we can make it. You know, I didn't talk about the hospital, but the hospital, healthcare is more than just a hospital. It deals with the clinic, it deals with the paramedics, and it deals with the hospital. I can tell you this council has lobbied really hard to lobby, both at the provincial level and the local level to make sure that our voices are heard with regards to the challenges that we have in the healthcare system across the board. Because it's not just one. We've dealt with the paramedics union, we've dealt with the clinic, and we've dealt with interior health, and we will continue to do that. And it's important that we do, to continue to lobby to make sure that we have it. Healthcare is critical to our community. It absolutely is. We lose the hospital, it changes our community beyond what you can even think. So I want to continue to work for you. I want to continue to make sure that we continue to lobby for those things that are critical in Clearwater. I hope that you come out and vote. I hope that I can have your support again, so I can serve you for another 4 years. And again, thank you so much for coming out tonight. I don't think I've ever seen an audience this big at one of these forums, so thank you.
I'll be honest, I didn't know that we were going to have this 2-minute finishing off here, so this is off the cuff. All of us up here, we're just citizens in Clearwater. We're not politicians, we just want the best for what's in the community. So what you want for the community, you heard it today. So you get to choose what you want. I have to warn every one of you that haven't been on council, it's all about pipes, water and sewer. It's not sexy, but that's what we talk about a lot. So be prepared. I would like to continue on as council. I've been on for one term. It's been 4 years. It was a rough 4 years. I would like to do another 4 years and be a little bit more normal and do the usual stuff that council is supposed to do. We've got lots of projects on the go. I'd like to continue with those and start with new ones, and we've got lots of ideas and we need to move forward. Basically what Barry said about the hospital, we've done lots of lobbying, we've done lots of advocacy. It's a lot of work, and we're going to push, and we're going to push hard because we've got to keep that hospital. Get out and vote, and I'd really appreciate your vote. Thank you very much.
Suzanne?
When I first started my career of working 40-some years ago, I had a vision firmly in mind. I wanted to be self-sufficient, 100% self-sufficient, with solar, growing my own food, etc., and retiring early. I managed to do that, but it wasn't a straight path. It went like this, and like this, and like this, and I had to adjust and adapt and keep carrying on to an end goal. And I've been able to do that. And in this short time that I've decided that I'd like to run on council and see if I can put my experience to good use for Clearwater, I've been able to talk to a building planner in Valemount and researched a few other things about housing. I've also talked to one of our paramedics for quite a few hours. I have notes, and it's really complicated. It's not as simple as you think. A lot of good suggestions, but it's going to be quite a bit of work. And also had a lot of thoughts about how to make our area pay for itself so we can become self-sufficient, whether it's adding some solar somehow, maybe thermal. The possibilities are endless, but we can do it, whether it's expanding our farmers market, how we grow our food. And I mean, I also talked to somebody who gave me some stats about tourism. He said in 2019, in July and August, there was 20,000 people a month. This year, in July and August, 6,000 a month. That tells you a lot. So we can't keep relying on tourism. We have to add to that to keep our community healthy and growing. Thank you for your time.
Well,
So a couple of things I'd like to address. That hospital is pretty dear to me. All my children were born there. I see some of you in here that were at those hospitals when my kids were born, and I tell you, we have some amazing nurses. Some of them have retired. Yeah, they're awesome. I think now that we know where some of this COVID money is and how much is left, I think right off the hop, we need a helipad. And I need, like now, I think we need to push for that because we don't have the emergency room. We don't know if it's open. We don't know here or there. I think some money needs to be put towards that. We put a helipad in. We've had the helicopter land in our yard. That's not convenient for anybody. We don't mind, but it's not convenient. We have lots of traffic in and out of there. I think we need a helipad. So I think some of that money from COVID restart go towards that, whether it's a liability or not. Let's get pushing forward for it. I also think that maybe some of us should all get involved in the RIH boards. Like, get involved, find out what's going on, because I don't think it's just all provincial government. I think it's also possibly some management issues that we should be looking at, and maybe we should go to those meetings and see what's going on and ask those questions, get to the bottom of it. Anyways, thank you for your time. Thanks for coming up.
Notice I didn't say Thomas.
Well,
I don't really have a whole lot extra to add to what everyone put in. I agree with all of them, what they've said. And all I can tell you is that and it's not an excuse. I'm new to all this stuff, and I will try my hardest, and I will listen to whatever you people have to say, and I will try to bring it to the council. If you guys need a voice, I will be the voice. I will try the best I can. The hospitals, I can't really give you too much input on that because I personally think the system is broken. And it has to be, somehow it has to be fixed, and I don't know how to fix it. So, we all have to work together, we'll figure it out. If we can't figure it out, then we're screwed. So, figure it out. We'll figure it out together, do all these meetings and do whatever, and yeah, we'll get through this. We'll get through this. That's all I got. Thanks, everyone.
Sorry, I missed one. Lyle?
Yeah. As been said numerous times, it's about advocacy and advocate to the point where it seems like it's fallen on deaf ears, but sooner or later you will find that right avenue and actually get somewhere with this. I think we've done it, this council, the past council, to the point where it's beyond the scope of what's actually required by us. It comes down to IHA, provincial, federal governments. It's the love of the community that keeps people going. Merlin, down at UBCM, just to touch it once there. You know, that's my opinion on that. It's something that's going to be a never-ending conversation. We just need to keep going. In closing, I'd just like to say we're all adults here. We can all make our own decisions. I don't feel as though pleading for your vote up here will get me any further ahead than the next candidate up on the stage. You need to just do your own research, connect your own dots, and most importantly, remember opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one, but it's up to you as the voters to decide which 6 opinions best align with your vision for the future of Clearwater. Thank you.
That ends all of our questions and answers. Ends on that note. But after all that has been said there, just thought about, I think it was John L. Sullivan, Joe Lewis made the remark about what the difference between a winner and a loser is. A winner is one who gets up one more time than he gets knocked down. And I think that's what we have to do, is make sure that we get up one more time than we get knocked down. We will be successful, and I think we've got a good group of candidates there. And let's give all of the candidates a big hand. Thank you. Now I'll turn it back over to our MC.
Thanks, Harry. Thanks, Lyle. That was good. Anyway, thank you, everybody, for taking your very important time to come out to this obviously important event here in Clearwater. I would just like to have the directors of the Chamber of Commerce stand up, please, because I'd like to give you guys a hand for organizing all of this and everything else you do. So thank you again, everybody out there, and of course all our candidates for coming out tonight. Safe travels home, everybody. Thanks again.